The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
Okay, take two. So, basically, bad podcasting 101 just happened. What you did not hear was about 8 minutes of Willie and I talking. As Willie Saylor is our guest here on this episode of the Short Time Podcast, live from #Fargo 2018. Recorded live, actually. We're not actually live. So, as I forgot to press record, we were talking about a number of things that have increased the quality of competition, the competition numbers. Again, we got to go back. You're fresh off. The joke doesn't work the second time. Fresh off your 2-year suspension for Major League Baseball for performance-enhancing skull. 2 years back in Fargo. What's it like to be back?
Anybody who's seen my physique knows I'm on performance-enhancing something. But no, it's great. You know, I had a role at Flow Sports the last few years where I oversaw other sports, including wrestling. Rodeo and jiu-jitsu, and I had to miss Fargo for those events a couple times. And they're great sports, but now I'm back just strictly doing wrestling, and it's what I love, and I'm passionate about. And Fargo, to me, is like not a second home, but I wouldn't miss it. I don't want to miss it. The talent that comes through here is great, and you get to scout out the future kids and talk to college coaches about recruiting, and it's just an excellent place to be.
Talk about the college coaching, and again, before, the unheard part of the start of this interview, we were talking about why the numbers are up. You talked about media exposure, the impact of Cadet Worlds coming back into the fray, and a better rule set. So I guess, first of all, your theory on why Cadet Worlds has kind of sparked the interest in Akron and by in large Fargo as well.
Well, don't beat yourself up too much about not pressing record. I don't think there's anybody that's done this often that hasn't done that. Forget to hit record, but yeah.
It might be the third time in 10 years I've done that.
I mean, it happens. But no, I think that the numbers are up here, and it's very, very encouraging, right? You like to see high participation. You like to see kids wrestling year round. But I think it goes back to Akron. I think, guys like Yanni and Spencer and Dayton and Gable Stevenson, they reinstituted Cadet Worlds in 2011. And there's kids at home watching, there's kids that are in 6th grade, 5th grade, and they're watching an American kid, 16 years old, go win world titles and world medals overseas. And they're probably saying to themselves, when I'm old enough, I'm going to do that. And so 16-year-old kids become heroes to the younger kids. And so they go to Akron and they come here, and it breeds something that they love to do.
Rule set has been one of my key speaking points about why the kids are coming back. We got rid of that awful ball draw era that really, You were alluding to what we couldn't say, what we didn't record earlier. I'm doing it again. The ball draw, you could kind of game it, but the rules that first year they brought these things out. I think Dalton Roberts in a Greco match, it was like 20-16. I mean, even on the Greco side, you saw more action. But now we're seeing kids have adapted the rules, coaches have adapted the rules. They're more like the rules that the coaches had when they first came through, and I think that's led to higher octane wrestling, and it's made this a more entertaining event to see here firsthand by Matt One or from home watching on Flow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that wrestling, international style wrestling, kind of they got through some stuff in terms of the rules, right? They wanted to change the rules to make it more exciting. They wanted to change the rules to make it more conducive to determining the better wrestler. And we had to sit through some awful years of the 3-period system, the ball draw system. Now we're at a place where they finally got the rules right, where everybody is on the same page. Everybody's excited about it. Everybody says it creates more action. Everybody says it determines the winner in the appropriate manner. And so the cumulative scoring is great. Remember a couple years ago, Justin Rivera in the finals was losing 9-0, came back and won. I mean, it's just the cumulative scoring is great, and the excitement and the kids and their coaches and parents now probably push freestyle and Greco a little bit more than they did when it was 1-0, 2-1, 1-0.
I remember that Rivera match because I had to do the post-match interviews after that year, and I'm like, what's going through your mind when you're down 9-0 out there? And he goes, I'm about to get teched. So I remember that conversation. One of the great replies, nothing quite beats the Burger King girl last year from Ashton Sharp. So that brings us around, and we can talk about rules and action, but we're talking about memories.
That's another good point, Jason, is that the kids kind of market themselves too. Like, Yanni and Dayton Fix and Gable, they sort of became heroes by winning, and winning is a good way to market yourself. But the kids also out here have fun with it. Ashton Sharp saying something witty and entertaining, and the little dances and the chants from the state sections. I think that has part of the appeal too.
I remember Nick Roberts a couple years ago, the late Nick Roberts, who was out there. I think he won at like 91 or 98 or something, and he pulled that Ricky Bobby line, and half the crowd hadn't seen it. Like, I piss excellence. And like, what did he just say? Oh, it's Talladega Nights, man. That's cool. And a little before his time in that regard with some of the post-match antics, but you're now seeing kids, they're ready. They're grabbing the microphone. They're having fun. It's actually, and they're coming out from our standpoint, being a little meta here about media. They're getting better at interviews before they even get to college.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, Jason, you definitely remember a time when you put a microphone in front of a 15 or 16-year-old wrestlers, they won a tournament, so you put a camera on them, and they were shy and bashful, and they stumbled. And whether it's the reps that they're getting from places like here or Akron or, I don't know, Ironman or other tournaments, or it's that they've seen kids do it, they're getting better with their interviews, and it's sort of like, Who's Number One? We have a press conference, and it's partly to hype up the event, right? It's partly self-promotion, but it's also, I do it to get the kids reps at doing that kind of stuff, because you see them doing it at Final X now and World, and before Worlds, and so to me it's pretty neat to see their progression, not just in wrestling, but also in the media side of things and public speaking. And also, I think an awesome part of this trip is these kids go to a camp, they get on a bus or get on a plane and come here, and they have a couple days of training. And it's neat for them to get almost like a tour.
Now, one thing, and we talk about memories, this is my 20th one in a row, and it's like my turf mug is older than all the juniors and the cadets, so it's like my mug has graduated past this. But memories, one of the things that jump out at me, I remember certain situations like the Dalton Roberts match in Greco, or the Ben Whitford Mark Gray. I mean, that was like, I remember that call there was like, that just happened. What are some of your memories, good, bad, or indifferent, that stand out to you about this raised mat and this dome?
Well, first, let me start with a tradition that I don't know if anybody is aware of, and I wasn't aware that it was a trend until yesterday. But you know what their kids are starting to do? They're starting to get pets while they're out here. They'll get a snake. They'll get a hamster. They'll get a guinea pig. I don't know who started it. I know the PA kids have done it the last couple of years. It's sort of weird. I hope that the pet is safe, but that's the latest trend. My memories
on that real quick. Jesse Riggleman from Virginia, who's a Virginia State champ from Turner Ashby, caught a squirrel and kept it in his room. Out here.
See, now how about that? If you
or time Caleb Schaefer told me that this is he said that Emmett Wilson from Montana State Northern brought a porcupine into a bar once, but that was back in Havre, but along those lines.
So that would be much. I'd like to see the kids catch their own pet. That would be. There's giant rabbits around here, by the way.
Jackrabbits, they're about 2 hours south.
I've never seen. Yeah, I've never seen a porcupine. I saw a hedgehog once in Zagreb or Bosnia, I think it was, at Cadet Junior Worlds once year. But my personal memories, I'll never forget the Mark Gray, Ben Whitford match. Mark Gray wins. He's doing the interview on the Jumbotron, and they're like, yeah, you know what? You're going to have to come back and wrestle the final 20 seconds. And then Ben Whitford wins. That was a great moment.
Unfortunately, it was also an issue with the 3-period system back then too, because that was wild.
A lot of my favorite memories. There's good memories outside of the dome, doing social things and just the sort of fraternity that you have amongst coaches and other media members. That's part of this. And then there's, of course, in the media, in the dome, which to me, and I was one of the guys that was like poo-pooing on going to the line bracketing system. I have since come around to it and I said, I think, it's probably the better thing to do. But some of my favorite memories were on the vertical pairing system, where in that round robin, you didn't know what was going to happen. Somebody could wrestle for 5th, or somebody could wrestle in the finals, if not just based upon outcomes, but based upon scoring. So it was really intense.
Oh, I remember that Saturday junior round, the round from hell, when it was the second to last session. You'd have round robin back like prior to 2002 when they changed the weight class to federation weights, were like junior 143. One year I think it was Surtis, Frischkorn, Chirella, and like Pedro Soto from Puerto Rico were like in one half of the pool. And the one thing about the pool system I like the vertical pairing is if you got guys on the same side of the bracket, they were probably going to see each other, versus the semis, you knew that's only one semi.
That was the beauty of vertical pairing. And what I think people don't understand, they say, oh, well, it takes too long. You're not sure who's going to win. And I mean, but the beautiful thing was, like, if me and you wrestle in the quarters, I don't see that other guy. If me and you wrestle in the semis, I don't see the guy you wrestled in quarters. But in the vertical pairing system, all the studs are in a mosh pit, and when it gets to the round robin, you're hitting everybody.
And sometimes the one thing I like about the bracketing is, your first round losers are typically going to get another first round loser. The upsets. We did see Patrick McKee lose like way early here today, but those type of upsets really don't happen. Like, Brett Haas from Iowa has the unique situation of having to wrestle Kyle Snyder and Jaden Cox back-to-back, round 1, round 2 in Junior Greco a couple years ago. And, that doesn't happen in a line bracketing system, because those two guys aren't going to lose. One of those aren't going to lose in the first round.
That's the all-time worst draw. There will never be a draw worse than that. You drew Olympic medalists in the first and second match.
And it's not like one of them lost. And I always thought my buddy Joey Massey had the worst draw, because he had Mike Benefiel and Chris Perry back-to-back. Thanks for coming out.
Oh, yeah. Imagine coming all this way. And then, you get the experience, but that's not ideal.
Yeah, I remember the first year trying to figure out. And thing is, again, back into the meta media side of things, like my first year here, there were pairs bringing up giant bracket sheets, handwritten, and you had to pour through the results, P-O-R-E, by the way, the results to try to find your Virginia kids. I was just tracking the Virginia kids, and then Van Plokas picked me up to cover the Pennsylvania kids, which is a lot more labor-intensive, because the Virginia kids could have been done after, session 2, and now I'm like, I got 50 more PA kids to track down. But tracking the results, being able to follow it online, years I was doing, we had paper brackets, and we were at an audio webcast. Now every mat is streamed. You've got results. You can pick up team scores.
You did the first streaming here, right?
I did the first audio. Audio. Me and Rob Sherrill.
No, but you did the first video setup, too.
I was the first one to stream. And Live Sports Video was the first one doing, a finals. But after the USA Wrestling contract, I'm the first one that did more than one mat.
Yeah.
I did one mat, and then I did 4, then I did 8, and then Adam Fenn entered the situation, and then the Flow Sports took over that business, and it's been pretty much history since. But I remember hand-cutting Cat 5 cable and cutting it and crimping it and putting it for 8 mats wired. All right, we got it.
Yeah. It's
Willie. That was where Willie started Flow Zone before it was Flow Zone.
Yeah, it was evolution, and it's I'm proud of the way Flow is doing things now. I think everybody around the country, and I think it breeds, like you said, better numbers. A kid sitting at home that really likes Brayton Lee, who's about to come up on mat 1. There's a kid in Indiana that's in 6th grade, and he's going to be able to sit at home, and he's going to be able to watch Brayton Lee, and he's going to say, I'm going to Fargo when I get old enough. And, Nomad and the crew back in Austin doing the Flow Zone now. Pretty cool. You bring up the Virginia kids. My first year here, I was doing it for the open mat, and I was kind of like freelancing in the sense that
like 6 or 7 in that range.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll identify it when I say the next thing, but I was freelancing in the sense that I came out here. I was going to do results and interviews, but I didn't really know what stories I'd be doing, and it just organically emerged that Joey Dance hit the scene, and he had a big crowd, and the Virginia folks were rooting him on, and I ended up writing my first story ever, really, for the open mat on Joey Dance, and so that was a good memory for me.
Well, as you said, you alluded to Brayton Lee's going to be coming up here soon. We're going to end it here. Willie's going to be piping in on other episodes. We're going to do some things maybe from Herd and Horns, maybe from Buffalo Wild Wings, definitely not from the turf. But that's the brief update here on day 2 of Fargo 2018, hashtag Fargo 2018. And that's all I got for you now, Smalls.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for all you do.
The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by Compound Clothing. Shirts, singlets, custom gear orders, everything you need. Call up Cliff and the crew at cmpteamwear.com. First time listening? Well, you can change that by going to mattalkonline.com/getshorttime to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or listen on your favorite podcatcher at mattalkonline.com/listen.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to mattalkonline.com.